What's up, homies? What's up, homies? What's up, homies? Welcome to the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. We pick the brains of industry pros to unlock the trade secrets of homeownership. Our mission is simple: to turn everyday people into knowledgeable homeowners. What's up, homies? I'm Sturdy Joe, and this is the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. On this episode, really pumped to have on another great Long Island home inspector, Mike Totino, hyper-focused home inspections. Yes. But I remember you back in the safety first days, man, going way back. So
100%.
What's up, dude? Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you bringing awareness to just homeowners or first-time home buyers. You know, there's so much information where I feel like people like us are the best qualified to really like.
We do it every day.
Yeah.
That's the way it was. It's like when I bring people on here, it's like we're going to have the conversations we have all the time, just we're going to put cameras in front of them.
100%.
So, yeah, welcome to the barn. How do you like this setting?
I like it.
This is for us.
This is for us.
Check out that hard hat. You see my hard hat, dude? That's us right there. Local 157. That was when I was running on concrete jobs because I was a concrete carpenter. I was local 157, like you were.
I was 45.
Oh, you were Queens.
Queens, yeah.
But we definitely worked with a lot of the same people at some point.
Which were you doing? Drywall, woodwork?
I was doing concrete. I did high-rise concrete. Yeah.
I did both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drywall and concrete.
A lot of the guys did drywall and concrete. Yeah. I came in like 2014 through 2017. I did a couple of years.
Did you do the apprenticeship or did you start as a full book?
I was part of. Yeah, I was blessed. Absolutely blessed. But the reason why the Carpenters Union was falling apart is because there was no structure.
I'm hearing that now.
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad.
So I've been out of it for probably 11 years now. Yeah. But when I started, it was my 19th birthday.
Nice.
I went through the whole 4-year apprenticeship, but from what I heard, they're now hiring like non-union guys.
Yeah, so when I left, they started doing a provisional rate. So there was A guys and B guys.
I heard of that too, yeah.
Dude, it was crazy. So you worked on a deck before, right?
Yeah,
you were nailing plywood. That's what I was, a point guy on the deck. So I'd walk the ribs, I'd drop a plumb bob.
Yeah.
You know, I still got my plumb bob. I loved it, dude. I got my stiletto hammer. Like, I was all about it.
So you were before Lathers running?
Yeah. So we would put the ribs down, put the plywood down, and the Lathers would lay the real bar.
Yeah.
So they started implementing this B carpenter thing, and it was pretty much if you were non-union, you would go to the union hall and tell us what company you worked for, and they would give you a provisional book. They made like $10 less an hour on wage, but they made like almost no benefits. When you looked at their benefit package, it was like $10 an hour to the pension fund.
Yeah.
It was a great way for them to flood the pension fund because there was no money in the pension fund.
Yeah.
But the problem was that, and we actually did this, we knew guys who worked on Long Island where we were like, the point was to get non-union concrete carpenters to become union, but there's no way, they didn't vet it out.
I know.
So all we did is, like, we worked for one company that was a union shop. We knew the non-union shop name. So we would tell our friends, yo, go to the union hall on this day, tell them you work for ABC Concrete.
Wow.
So I got friends' books.
Yeah.
It was cool, but the overwhelming majority of the guys, it was
not qualified.
You know how hectic the high-rise concrete was?
I know, yeah.
It took it to another level.
I was at Ground Zero.
That's sick.
Ground Zero,
man. I seen some really cool. That was a wild job.
That was probably out of my 6 years as a union carpenter. That was like because I was there for like almost a year. That period of time was where I really felt like I wasn't going to work.
That's cool. I love those moments. It's so crazy because like doing that job, it's hard work. You're working with crazy people, but there was so many times where like there's things I do miss about it.
Me too.
I will never go back, but there's
Yeah.
things I miss about it,
Me
man.
too.
I miss getting after it with the guys. There's like it must be trauma bonding, but those guys, like I'll always think highly of my friends that were in the union. I miss them dearly, but it's just no way to see them. But
I would say the biggest takeaway from just that experience that we both share is you really earn an honest buck. Like you know what it takes to earn an honest buck, bro.
We get it all the time, right?
Yeah.
We'll go on a roof in the winter or something, and somebody's like, "Oh, I feel bad for you," and I'm like, "I wish I could. I wish I could take that compliment, but I promise you, Joe of 10 years ago, he would have beat my ass if I complained."
Seriously.
Because people, you know what it is people hear union and they think lazy. The Carpenters Union, the only thing they protected was your wage. They didn't protect your life because guys were dying on the job or getting seriously injured, and they didn't protect your job because you know how it was. Guys were getting laid off for no reason. That was the craziest shit. It gave me a ton of perspective on quality of life and
I think that experience about the layoffs, especially holidays, you have wife, kids, a house, this and that, and then the layoffs. So that experience taught me manage your money because there's many rainy days.
That's a great way. Honestly, dude, like I'm so glad that it was that hectic because that's exactly. I am if me then saw how I budget now, I budgeted like crazy back then. I lived on like $20 a week because
you have to,
the old guys told me, they'd always say like learn to live on 4 days pay. And that was the best thing. Like learn to live on 4 days pay. Never live off the overtime, because for every hour overtime, there was 2 weeks where the job was shut down because the crane needs an oil change or something. It was always something dumb. So yeah, man, concrete union, man.
I know,
you don't know unless you've lived it.
You have to be there. You have to be there.
Yeah, but so for me, I actually. I was on the deck. There was other tradesmen on the deck. There's plumbers and electricians doing layout.
46 also?
I don't remember their numbers, but my mentor now in home inspections is a man named Lance Kotesh. He was a plumber foreman on the deck on a job on the East Side Highway.
Same job?
He was a plumber. A union plumber. I was doing the concrete carpentry. We were doing a job by the UN building. It was like 1st Ave and 40th. And being on the deck and being, a younger guy, we would always chop it up. And he was a home inspector. This guy he's a home inspector upstate. Now it's all he does. But he would go to jobs at, whatever time we'd leave for the house. We'd leave the house 4:30, right? He'd leave for the job at 4:30 in the morning. The plumbers got to work through lunch. They'd work till 2:30 and then they'd go home. He'd go home and do 2 home inspections in the summer.
Wow.
He was old, so he'd fall asleep. He'd wake up at like 2 in the morning. He'd bang out the reports, and then he'd go to work. And this dude, at that time, he was probably doing like 100 inspections, which as a full-time plumber, it was killing it.
That's gravy,
So now he's, because he's in retirement age anyway, so he's just a home inspector. He kills it upstate. He was the president of his ASHE chapter.
Wow.
Yeah, so, he's my plumbing foreman when we're doing layout stuff, so I would shoot the shit with him, and I noticed he had like so much random knowledge, and I love random facts. And I loved
100%,
I loved asking the tradesmen why they're doing that. Why are you running this copper cable on the rebar? That's the ground wire, it runs the whole building, right? I loved asking those questions. I'd always ask him those questions, and he'd be like, dude, I'm a home inspector, right? And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's how you got started.
That's how I got started, bro.
Wow,
Yeah, so at that time, I had this house. My wife and I were getting married at the time. Like, we weren't married yet. We were getting married. She was getting a job. No kids. Yeah, she was getting her job going. And I just was like thinking about the future. I was like, I don't think I want to go into the city anymore. Like, I had no problem doing it until I heard somebody say to me, like, it was a shit day. And they're like, there's got to be a better way. And like something changed me where I was like, holy shit, he's right. There's got to be a better way. So I started looking at getting jobs on Long Island. I was taking civil service tests. I was looking at all sorts of different things. But the problem is I was a full book carpenter in the city, and I was made with the
wages too.
I was making money.
And
I had liabilities. And my wife just started her job, so she didn't make a lot of money. So I was like, damn, I got to offset my income. At the same time as that is when my man Lance was like, take the home inspection test. I'm the type of stubborn where it's like, if that's what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. So the day after, I looked up the home inspection school, ran right at it. So I did the school that spring. I got licensed in July. I got married at the end of July.
Big year for you.
A big year, ready? Our job wrapped up August 15th. There was a solar eclipse in 2017.
I was going to say, it all lined up.
Dude, it all lined up. So I left, but this is the best part. And this is the real, if people want to get into business, I didn't start hot. Dude, I was a kid, dude. I was 20. I'll be honest with you, I was 22 years old when I started. So I leave the union, and I'm like, I'm a home inspector now. No, what does that mean? I didn't know how to get sales. I didn't know about marketing. I didn't know about anything. And I love with your content when you talk about, you see the overnight success. You were a contractor for years before becoming a home inspector. Dude, my first 12 months, I did 12 inspections. My first year, I did 12 inspections.
And I will openly say this too. When I was because I was a contractor for a couple of years after I left the union. This is before I even knew about home inspections. And when you try different things, you kind of learn about yourself too. Like, all right, this is just not my niche. Like, my personality doesn't mesh with overseeing people every single day. And if something happens because the plumber didn't show up, it's my fault. And that was happening so often. I was like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of this. Like, I'm not saying I'm a control freak, but I like being accountable for my own doing.
But honestly, that's why it's just because you're a decent person. Because the way I look at it is like, I have the knowledge to know the right way to do it. I don't have the patience to do it. I
Perfectly said.
Right now, maybe in the future as I get older, if I calm down, I could see myself being maybe a general contractor where I oversee trades. But as like the small time renovating a bathroom, I did a few jobs. It got me so flustered. I'd lose sleep. It was just...
Clients calling you at 10 at night.
I wish I could just ignore. If I could have just ignored all of it, did half-ass work and close it up, the client would be happy. I'd get paid. I'd be on my way. I would have killed it. I just couldn't do it. So it is funny. You get into things you don't know why you start it, right?
That's how you learn.
And then you look back and you're like, oh, there's a reason I went that way and not the other way. Because the way I look at it too as a home inspector, like, as a contractor, there's sometimes a situation where if I want to make money on this, I might not actually have to do my best work. I'll actually lose money if I do my best work. And I don't like that. As a home inspector, the better work I do, the more money I get paid.
And the word spreads too.
That's what I'm saying. So through word of mouth, bigger jobs, $1 million houses. So there's never an obligation of doing a great job and making money. Listen, sometimes when there's contractors that make money and do a great job. But as a small time guy, like I never ever want to feel that pressure. That's why I love what we do.
I agree. Yeah.
But so you were a contractor for a few years, and then how did you actually hear about home inspections?
So it was actually a buddy of mine. He was a part-time home inspector. I feel like there's a lot of inspectors, like this is like their side gig, just like you mentioned with your mentor.
I love
nights
side
and weekends.
Gig home inspections.
Yeah, this was their part-time thing, right?
It's just fun money.
Fun money.
Yeah,
and
so nice.
And one of my buddies was a part-time home inspector. And then once he mentioned that, and then I thought about it, I'm like, all right, I obviously know construction like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm good with networking and real estate because I flipped a couple houses too.
Yeah, so you started to get into that world.
Exactly. Yeah. And then people don't know this. I had my real estate license for like a year or so.
Nice.
I sold a couple houses just to learn. Yeah. So
before your home inspection license or around the same time?
Way before.
Really?
Way
okay,
before.
So you already had knowledge and you had a sale. At least, so
exactly.
you had experience in the process.
And I thought about it. I'm like, it's not labor intense like carpenters were humping drywall flights of steps.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful day.
A
day full of inspections is a beautiful
100%.
day. Yeah.
So then it just kind of just made sense. I'm like, this aligns with what I already know and what I'm with what I'm already good at. So then I decided once I enrolled to take the course, this is full swing for me. I'm like, I'm never looking back. So so it was almost like these classes couldn't happen fast enough because I went to Malloy in Rockville Center. So it was like every Tuesday and Thursday.
It was still in person then.
Huh?
Right, it was still in person.
It was
pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah. So it was like every Tuesday and Thursday for like 8 to 9 weeks. And in my mind, I'm like, man, if I could do this in 1 week and just, because I was so anxious.
You were just ready to go.
I was ready to go.
Yeah.
But once I got the license in the mail, which took forever.
Yeah.
After I passed my test.
Yeah, it's funny.
I hit the ground. Like, I had no backup.
Dude, I remember.
I had no backup.
So I'm going to say this without you ever telling me. You started, it had to be like winter of 2019?
I think.
Fall of 2019?
It was the same year. It was before COVID, but the same year. I think.
So around that time, because I remember I was never really doing social media. I really didn't even I don't think I had an Instagram, and, which is so dumb. Like, I'm in the social media age, and I had a business, and I didn't have social media. And I remember I started to follow people, and I think one of the first people I followed was like the Handsome Home Buyer, who's super popular. And then I saw you come on. So I remember you.
A lot of people followed me from.
Dude, I followed you from the jump. I followed you from the jump, and I always, because I have multiple accounts, I always followed you. So you hammered it away, and then COVID hit, right? Did you feel did your business get weird for a minute with COVID, or did you just kind of muscle through?
No. Well, it was funny because once the lockdown happened, I was getting emails like, if you're caught working, you're gonna get fined. You could lose.
I remember, it was crazy.
I'm like, you're getting fined for working. Like, I've never thought in my lifetime I'd get this type of email. But so that happened. But then what also happened is once the gates opened up
that summer,
that was when I was working unhealthy hours. I was burning out. I was on the verge of a mental breakdown.
This business can do it to you. Home inspect, because the thing is real estate.
The pressure
for realtors, it's worth it for them to have a toxic relationship with work, because they could make can make $500,000. We physically cannot do enough inspections to do that much money. We have to run. You have to have a team, but when you're starting in the beginning, all you want to do is say yes to inspections. It's very, very easy to hit that burnout point, because you fill up today with inspections.
Reports when you get home.
And then if you drag ass on the report, there's two problems. If you do a bad report, you're liable. And if you're slow, the clients and the realtor are like, where's the report? And with COVID, people wanted it immediately.
But not only that, during that process of you dragging your feet, you have other people calling you
for more work. And you're trying to mix the schedule around, and then I move my whole day around, and then this one, the listing agent's got to get her nails done, so it will drive you crazy. So the one-man shop, I feel like the most stressful time was one-man show going out on my own, when I said this is all that I'm doing, because now I gotta feed the family. 100%. I can't say no. I can't give up a home inspection. That's crazy to say no to. Now it's a little different having a team and stuff. But yeah, it totally would drive you nuts, man.
You have inspectors under you now, or?
So I have so most inspections we actually do where it's myself and it's Chris Chimeri. We call him Inspector Chimbo. So most inspections we do is a 2-man team.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he reached out to me right before my second kid was born, and I listened to the Spectora podcast, and I knew about IEB, and at that time, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a 10-man team. Yeah. So he reached out to me, and we knew a lot of the same people. They're like, he is a very nice person. So I was like, all right, screw it. I can teach anybody.
Awesome.
So we started, my whole thing was like, I want you to be aces. So we did like every job together, but I didn't understand how to train then. So like, it actually became my inspection process to have the both of us there.
Yeah, I know.
So now, like, listen, I'll still mint out an inspection by myself, but I do love him and I working together because it allows both of us to use our strengths. So like the jobs that I do alone, because we both do jobs alone all the time, I have to actually intentionally work. Like I got to make sure I double check things. Like it's just because the workflow is different. But now like he goes inside, I do outside. We both go in the basement. I see something outside, I text him. Like we have this wild thing going where it's like we rock and roll together. And then actually when he goes, for a while I had him working for me. But you know what it was is like I felt bad locking him up. I started doing the energy code work. I stopped scaling home inspections. I'm actively not growing inspections. This dude's waiting for me to feed him work. So when we do home inspections together, he works with me as Sturdy Home Inspections. When he does them alone,
on his own.
He does them on his own. And we work it out. So it's
under his branch.
Under his branch.
Gotcha.
His liability, his insurance. So and I love that because like he's become a great friend of mine. I love seeing him.
Of course,
And it's so cool seeing him win.
Awesome.
Man. I get so hyped seeing him win.
His
dude.
growth.
100%. It's like he called me. I mean,
that's rare too.
I mean, you know what it is, man? Is like there's so much time. There's so much time to win.
I know.
We're young guys in the business. There's guys, I talked to like a mortgage guy he's a big shot with one of the mortgage banks. He's been in the business for like 40 years. He's like, dude, there's plenty of time to make money.
Of course.
People will always remember if you're a scumbag. They'll never forget the time you scummed them. You know what I mean? And that's why, dude, you are in business terms my direct competition. You are my direct competition. I would never view you like that, bro. I saw you from the day you started. I saw you from the day you started. You market unbelievably.
Thank you.
And my perspective and the reason I have a great relationship with a lot of home inspectors and why I can literally have my guy I trained, I'm fine with him opening his own business, is because I hold the responsibility of every inspection I don't get is my fault. And then every inspection that you get that could have been mine is because you did something better than me. Like you came and you hit the ground running so hard. And I'll say this to the day I die. I see a lot of home inspectors on Instagram. You pioneered our market's home inspection Instagram pages. Like you 100% did it. You, dude, I was always watching. I've been around a while. My inspection number is older than a lot of these guys'. You pioneered it. You marketed way better. You started doing the realtor walkthroughs. You're taking realtors to dinner. I love that. I always laugh with that.
So I want to put on a record too, because I've learned so much from this industry. People like yourself as well have given me so much. I'm actually launching a coaching program for up and coming home inspectors.
Good for you, dude.
So because this business, you know this too, is like it's so easy to make one mistake that will cost you your whole reputation overnight.
Yeah.
You know, if you miss something, if you don't say something,
dude. Like I said, I'm cool with people, and I want to see everybody win. The scariest thing I see guys come out the gate and they're fucking killing it, and that's great. I'm scared for them because like. Dude, if in my first year, if I did the inspections I'm doing now, like I would make a mistake because like talk about the stress of the job. Do that while also making sure I'm not missing something on somebody's life savings investment.
I know.
You know, with that stress, like
big deal,
dude. Like I look back at stressful times in my life, like the kids being born and being small, and laughing because like you know. I was grumpy at an inspection. You know what I mean? Like it's like maybe I made a big deal about that. You know, maybe I actually blew up the deal on accident because I was in a bad mood. You know?
Yeah, we're all completely guilty of it. You know, and there's definitely things I wish I could take back too. But when you do over 1,000 home inspections, you kind of have it to a science now. Where like all right, you know, my first year, I maybe should have worded it differently.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the worst thing I ever did once was go back and look at like an old report of mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, what was it? Because like you jump in running. I had my mentor talking me through it, but he never, like he wasn't reading my reports or anything.
Course,
so I was I came out of the school, I started doing it. And like the intention was there. The defect was there.
Yeah.
But like writing a inspection report defect comment is like a trade in itself.
ChatGPT now
I love
the
that.
Best thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the best
I
thing
couldn't
ever.
imagine how good of a comment it probably cooks up.
And you could prompt it like specifically like
the tone you want it to say.
It'll spit something out and then you could say revise it to less alarming.
Yeah, make it a little nicer. Yeah,
exactly.
Because there's just a pile of leaves in the backyard. I don't want them to. There's
gonna be a fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's amazing, dude. So all right, so you got the coaching thing going, which I think is so good because I actually just had one of my clients. I did an inspection from him last week. He's a building maintenance guy, and I think building maintenance is one of those things where you know a little bit about everything. And I did a little building maintenance myself.
Right up our alley.
Yeah, so it's like I was telling him, I was like, dude, like building maintenance guy. So you should get into home inspections. I'm an advocate for it. I think there is so many of us, and I want, if there's a million guys doing it, I just want a million good guys doing it. Because I'm not going to win every job. Yeah. I just want the person you go with to not be a schlub who's not going to screw you over. Like,
and not only that, I mean, last but not least, I mean, I don't know if we could say this on air or not, but you make more money as a home inspector.
Yeah, you do.
I know I was.
Yeah, it's a great
industry,
business, man.
And you're not killing yourself. Like, just to put it into perspective, if I do two home inspections in one day, I would make more than a whole week's worth as a union carpenter.
Yeah, 100%. That was the worst realization I had, which is like I was like, holy shit,
what am I doing over here?
Yeah, I know. It really is a great business. I think that, and it's funny because watching you come up, you market well.
Humble beginnings, bro.
I laughed when I saw, because listen, there's a lot of guys now who post stuff, and guys will post like inspection related stuff that only other inspectors can see and be like, wait a minute. And I laughed when you started to keep it real, and I appreciate you being an advocate for this. You started keeping it real with realtors, like when you say like, I didn't kill the deal, house killed the deal. Like I saw I saw your brain like keeping it real with the realtors. I was like, oh, he's one of the good ones. Like this guy is not, he's not just, because you have a great relationship with a lot of realtors, being a social media guy. You took that audience and you're like, oh, I'm good. You think I'm on your side? I'm still a home inspector, brother.
100%.
Like,
and you know,
And now a word from our sponsor, the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. This foundation is focused on providing alternative career paths for young people other than just college. If you want to learn more about what they got going on and some updates, you can check them out at lookwhomadeit.org. Now back to the show.
Yes, our business thrives off of realtors, but at the end of the day, we work for the buyer.
Yeah.
This is the person, like you said, they're borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And guess what? If my relationship is going to be tampered with due to the condition of the house, not me, because I always make it clear, listen, whatever I find, this can all be fixed. It just depends on your budget, what your risk factor is.
The house has to offer something.
Yeah.
We just got to make sure it meets your expectations.
Exactly.
And only you know if that's a good idea or not. I can't tell you. I don't know how much money you got.
I get this question all the time. Should I buy this house?
Yeah.
That's where I say exactly that. And then I say too, you know, just because I found, you know, a roof leak or the boiler's 22 years old, that does not mean the seller has to fix it or replace it.
We were just talking about it before too, like pre-COVID, you got a taste of it, bro. But before the crazy market, we'd go into a house and we'd save them 30, 40 grand every inspection. It was so easy. It was like because it was the market in the mid 20, like I started 2017, so like 2018, 2019 started doing more inspections. Dude, it was harder to sell a house. So if I went and I saw like a 3-tab shingle roof, they're all old at this point.
20,
It was a credit. Boom, done.
Wow.
It was a credit. This is an old roof. And they'd be like, oh, shit, all right. Dude, it was so different. So now it's like, you get it all the time. Like, you get the parents there, or you get somebody who's like, I think that people self-sabotage, so they're scared to buy a house, and they're trying to talk to us out of it. So they're like, what do you think? What do you think I can ask for? And I'm like, nothing.
I know.
You know that the next guy's going to waive the home inspection. And honestly, you're going to ask for something you're not in contract yet. I hate saying it. It's the things I hate about real estate because
I know. It puts you in a
tough spot. And I just wish the buyers had a little bit of something to go for them, because they got to pay high for the house. They got a bad rate now. And now they got to absorb a house with 30-year-old components.
And they have their realtor pushing them. Pushing.
Pushing. Yeah.
So that's where, you know, and tips for my up and coming home inspectors. I don't know if you do this too, but at the end of the inspection, usually inspectors give like a verbal summary at the end.
Yeah.
I always take my buyer outside. I do not share anything with the homeowner.
I got the truck bed down, tailgate down, and like, let's go. And I honestly, like, you got to make it a known thing, because listen, some sellers are just effing annoying, and you don't want to hear it, and it's like we got to remove the situation. But some of them are just really friendly, and they don't realize that they're impeding on a process. But that's when I hit them with I'm like, thank you so much. It was great knowing you. And I'll just look at my buyer. I'm like, let's go chat by the truck. And the truck's always across the street, away from the Ring doorbell, and that's where we get to chat it up, man.
You could also say too that, you know, the minute you arrive at the home inspection and the listing agent's there, the seller's there, you could tell them, just so you guys know, because I'm working for the buyer, that's the person who gets the information at the end. Because what happens, sometimes if they don't know that, at the end, they're expecting it.
They're like, how's my house?
Right. And I'm like, oh, wait. And then sometimes, unfortunately, that for me has caused tension. Wait a minute, you're not going to tell us?
Yeah, it gets awkward.
No, this is where I take my, but like, it's...
Communication and just... And
there's a way to go about it.
As a home inspector, communication is just the biggest thing. Communicating the defects in context, making sure they understand what we're talking about. And, you know, you do have to... I'm a heavy buyer-friendly home inspector. I have no problem saying it how it is. I really don't. At this point, like, I work with real estate agents who have been in our market. Like, I do a lot over here for a long time. So I respect,
they know what happens.
As much as my image I respect their image too, because they've resold the same house 4 times. So they, you know what I mean? Like, if they understand if a bad home inspection happens, they're going to be here long enough to see the bad result of it. So you know, working with good realtors is huge, but you do have to respect the all parties involved thing. So it's 100%. Like getting ahead of them, being like, listen, as much as, you know, there's anxiety for you as a seller, and I think it's a great thing you do, which I've never ever done. I think it's a great thing that you do, that you say, listen, I can't share the findings with you. I'm going to share with my buyers, and if they have anything, I'll get back to you. I've had them in a situation where at the end, they'll be like, anything we should know about? And I'll say, listen, it's a used house, good, bad, ugly, everything in between. I don't want to mess up what they got going on. They said maybe they love everything about it and they don't want to ask for things. Maybe they walk away. I said, I don't know. I'm just going to do my job. That's how like, if they bring it up, I'll say it. But that's, I mean, listen, you're setting the expectation early on.
I jokingly say, whenever the seller asks me, like, so what did you find? And then I'll jokingly say, no dead bodies yet.
Nice. Yeah, you have to do this.
I joke about it.
You got to do dad jokes.
You got to do it, because that kind of softens up the I can't share my information with you. But even when I'm first arriving and I tell them, you know, because I work for the buyer, that's the person who gets the information because they're paying for it. I kind of end that statement with, if you were my client, I would do the same for you as well. So they understand, like, listen, if I'm representing you, you get the same treatment. It's not like
that's exactly
I'm not against you.
That's exactly it, because they're going to go buy a house too. So
that's why when we
get
them,
when we convert them, the ones that like hire us, they know, they're like, oh, Joe's going to fucking shoot pretty straight. And a lot of the realtors I work with, like, they represent both sides. So I end up like, I just did an inspection 100%. For you, and now I'm going to your house, and like, it's so funny because they just know, they're like, oh, what's Joe gonna find here? And it's like, I gotta treat them with the respect I treated you, and they know that's how it's gonna be.
I did a home inspection, and the seller was there. He saw how I worked. Long story short, he ended up hiring me for his purchase.
Nice.
We get there. The listing agent's there. I ended up inspecting her house when she bought the house.
That's great.
Like, we all just. It was funny. It's like,
but that's the truth with our businesses. There's quick money to be made by just doing what people want you to do, not saying anything, doing it fast. Everything's fine with the house. There's long money to be made with doing it right, and that's how you're able to. That's how you could have done your first 200 fast doing it the wrong way, but that 1,000 mark, and now you'll do thousands in your life.
Of course,
because you, as much as you want to maybe one day in the future retire or do something else, you'll be getting home inspection phone calls for the rest of your life. Like, we're at the point where it's like,
the goal.
Dude, it's like we could literally put a post up, we closed shop, it's done, and in 7 years I'll get a call. Joe, you did my cousin's house, he loved you. Can you do a home inspection for me? And it's like, I'm going to say,
you want to laugh? My phone rang 3 times since hitting here.
I believe
it's on vibrate right now, obviously.
I believe it. Midweek it's so funny how like the ebbs and flows of our business, because like midweek has been so annoying.
It's crucial. I know.
It's so, but that's what's kind of tough. Why you building a team is so important, because I can get a phone call for 100 home inspections in a week. I can't service 100 homes.
Of course.
And also, too, the worst part is, they're all at the same time. Everybody wants Wednesday at 4:30. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, even if you have a 6-man team, they all want the same time. I can give you 27 time slots, but you know, it's the urgency of the business. It is. You can't complain about it. It's just funny. Like, for a while, when I first started, it was a lot of weekends. And then once the open houses got really crazy with the long lines,
it
was like no weekends. Everyone got their accepted offer Monday night, so it was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's just funny how it swings around. But you clearly have, I mean, you said 1,000 home inspections. When you look at the numbers, 1,000 home inspections, there's 1 or 2 or 5 buyer people at the inspection.
Yeah.
There's a seller.
Yeah.
There's a realtor on one side. There's a listing agent on the other side. Think about the thousands and thousands of people that we have conducted business in front of.
Yeah, I know.
Like the people skills we learn, and we see how they react.
Absolutely.
And we see the good, the bad, the ugly in between it. So that's why I, like, as a home inspector, not just to shoot the shit about our inspection life, because we could do that all day.
I know,
right?
yeah.
We got the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. This is the Knowledgeable Home Inspector Podcast now.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be dope to pick your brain about, like, good and bad and ugly of homeownership, because we see it all. As much as they clean the living room and the kitchen when we get there, we go in the closet and we see it all. Yeah, dude.
Leaks. Yeah.
All right, so first question I had is, as an inspector, what do you think it takes for a homeowner to be considered a knowledgeable homeowner? And this is like a vague, deep question. It doesn't have to be technical. Because after I'll explain what knowledgeable homeowner is to me.
I would say there's one word that sums up that answer: maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance, and
that's a great answer.
I would say maintenance is one, and then just drainage, right? Because when I'm doing the exterior of a property first, and I see there's some type of drainage system, whether it's extensions on the downspouts, I kind of know, like, all right, this person's mindful that they don't want moisture.
Yeah, because water in one way or another causes the most problems for
100%.
us, because water will dampen up a joist, which a termite will eat. It'll cause mold. Water is
100%,
the start of most problems.
Wood rot,
If it gets in the electrical panel, it could start a fire. Like drainage is a funny home inspector answer that makes perfect sense, because it's drainage of everything. The windows drain.
Yes.
The siding has to drain. The grounds has to drain. So caring about maintenance is such a solid way to put it, because we see so many like DIY houses where you could tell this guy is either in the trades or he wants to be in the trades. He's very DIY-y, and you'll see like they minted out something really cool that from 10 feet away looks great. As you get closer, you're like, they homeowner special this.
Yeah.
And then you see the maintenance things absolutely ignored.
Yeah,
absolutely ignored. So actually, it's like if you wanna be like I said, knowledgeable homeowner, you want to be a successful, good homeowner. You don't have to buy the Milwaukee tool set. You just gotta know enough to not neglect things.
And know who to call too, because, you know, whether you want to have your furnace service, your boiler, you want to get the HVAC, the plumber in there, the electrician to ground outlets or put smoke detectors.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know who to call.
Know who to call, and know what is not your area of expertise. I never recommend homeowners to, label their circuit breakers and take off the cover. Like, get an electrician to do that.
So that's where the term knowledgeable homeowner came to me, is it's in my reports. So if it's something silly like cleaning up the yard, cleaning up the gutters, something silly that we can if it's DIY, the way I'll pretty much put it is, this can be done by a handyman or a knowledgeable homeowner. And that was like, I don't know who taught me that once, but I loved that term, because not anybody can do it. You got to have a kind of an understanding. Even if it's raking leaves, right? You can still find a way to mess that up. So that's where, in my reports, in all the little maintenance items, it would say handyman or knowledgeable homeowner. And I became kind of obsessed with that term, because, like, what does that really mean? And I want the stigma to be, I think back in the 50s, you could have sold insurance. Grandpa came home and he still took care of his house. We go in these old garages and they all had lug nuts, they had wrenches, they had screwdrivers. No matter what their occupation
was,
they took care of their stuff. And they weren't looking at themselves as handymen or a DIY guy or but nowadays
times are changing now.
Times are changing, but I feel like people love the theme of things and people love the trend of things. And like, I love Milwaukee tools. I got a ton of Milwaukee tools because like I do work, but I feel like you don't need that to be a good homeowner. All that stuff is just those are hobby fun things for me. But as long as you know who to call when things go wrong is an important one, because that's a huge mistake people make, is either they try to do it themselves and they can't, or they're hesitant to get something corrected because they don't know who to call.
Right.
And problems compound.
But that's why even in my report, it's not all defects. It's also, hey, you should maintain this upon, and my key word is upon ownership of property. So once you own the house, once you close, once you move in, be mindful, maintain your hot water heater, maintain the boiler, the return vents for the central air.
That's a funny way to put it too, because that hits, like, you can get deep with it upon ownership of the property, because like obviously physically taking ownership of it is getting possession of it, but also own that property, take care of that property, have some pride in that property, take ownership of those things.
We've seen the best of the best and the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. So drainage was a good answer for what a knowledgeable homeowner is. So one of the questions I had too is, like, when you go on an inspection, there's times where I'll walk through a house and I'll see something and I'm like, all right, you know what? I have good feelings about the existing homers. So like, what are some things that maybe you come across where, again, we put blinders on to pretty stuff because there's always problems lurking. But after a while, you see enough of certain things. Is there anything that comes to mind when you do an inspection where, like, you see this and you're like, all right, you know what? These guys did a good job.
For me, it always starts with the exterior, because that's the first thing.
That's where we start.
That we do, So drainage, obviously, number one. And because, just drainage causes so many issues that if I see they're on top of it, or, for example, if it's during the winter time and I see that they have their condenser covered, and like little small things like that, it just tells me, all right, they're just on top of just avoiding rust, corrosion, things
staying on top of it is a great way. Staying on top of things, because that's a really good way. So like my answer in that sense is kind of like, I do laugh because I have like a case study in my brain.
Yeah.
If I walk the property and it is super tight outside, it is clean, there's flowers, the mailbox is painted, the condenser's covered in the winter, the pool filter is 30 years old but it's clean. I'm like, I guarantee we're not going to see some pretty strange things. And I say it to myself, and then, again, put blinders on. I go in the crawl space looking for all the hidden problems, but it really is the truth. And very commonly, I think with the market being so high, we're seeing a lot of older people sell their homes. It's time for them to retire. You do, like, it's the best gift that generation could give our generation is these super tightly maintained homes.
Yeah, exactly.
And very rarely do I see like super tight maintenance on the outside. Like you said, drainage.
Yeah.
Do I go in and I see something?
It's crap inside.
Yeah, it's just crap inside. Yeah. So, all right.
The outside always tells a story, I feel like, because I don't think someone's going to, do just one portion of, take pride in just the outside and then even though I've seen that too, but generally speaking, for the most part, it's usually not that way.
Or like they recently redid the siding, so it's easy to take care of, but there's other areas they're neglecting. And listen, there's no perfect homeowner in this. We can do a home inspection on this garage right now, we'll lose your mind. So it's not about things being perfect. No home is perfect.
And it's not pass or fail either.
It's not. That's a great way to put it.
It's not like A or B, pass, fail. So it's not, because...
Do you have like a go-to like in getting a buyer to understand that? Like, like I said, I have no problem telling them how it is about the house, but also too, I think it's responsible for us to reel them in when like they're sweating a noisy bathroom fan. Like, is there ways for you to reel them in a little bit?
What I say is just to let you know, this can all be fixed.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as, and even if the structure is crumbling, I've done inspections where, in my mind, and this is my opinion, which
we keep it to ourselves.
Don't say because
as we're thinking it to ourselves.
Like, this person's insane.
This house sucks.
This house is.
I'll go up to Chimbo. He laughs all the time. Like, I hate this house.
This house is
but
insane.
You don't know they might have the financial or the skill tolerance to take care of it. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So that's where. But those extra nervous buyers, right? That's where that comes up mostly when I find mold.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I'm a licensed mold assessor too.
Yeah.
So even when like, oh, my kids, this and that, I said, listen, this can all be addressed as long as it's done properly. You have nothing to worry about.
That's why we have these processes, because we can fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But some people, no matter what you tell them, they're walking. Because it's an emotional scared. No matter if I tell them, listen, it's no big deal.
Yeah, mold is one of those where like my cousin got in and got really sick, and I don't want a house with mold.
Or termites.
Yeah, like, termites is a funny one. Termites is such a funny one. We find termites on some. There's termites behind this panel. You know what I mean? Like there's termites and so much stuff. It's the damage that's the problem. But
I also think it's either the family member or like the contractor that now it's in the walls. The house is gonna fold the first year.
They automatically go full alarmist, and it's like I said, I ain't gonna push you to buy the house, but I just hate to in this market. It's so hard to get a house. I'd hate to see somebody walk away from a house for a problem that I'm going to find in another house.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things I go to it where, listen, if it's a pretty typical inspection, some old, some new, some defects, some good stuff, I'm going to tell them, listen, buy the house, don't buy the house. We'll go inspect the one around the corner. I'm going to find all the same stuff.
That's a good one.
In a different sense, we went to a house the other day that had like hidden fire damage. We're not going to see that at every house. Okay, so that's a little bit different of a defect. Maybe you could try to negotiate or walk away. I was like, but listen, you You found a 25-year-old oil boiler?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to say 80% of the oil boilers on Long Island are 25 years old.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not telling you that you should accept that, but you do need to accept that fact that you're going to have to deal with that. And that's important with the realtors too. And that's something I task realtors, where it's like, if you want, as a realtor, your buyer's home inspection to go well, prep them for the real truth of owning a home. It's going to have defects. Things are going to suck. If a family's living in there now, they're living in there successfully. It's just that you need to plan for the worst and have the money to fix things, which is in every home you want to buy. If you don't like that, go and rent.
I say this too. You know, that had example where, listen, the heating system was working when I was here, but because it's 22 years old, I would just budget for a new one in the near future. So in the event, worst case scenario, it goes the first year, you already know that.
I've recently started using the term, old things are delicate. And it hits with them because they're like, oh shit, that's a good point. Because listen, it's working right now. It might work for another 10 years, but old things are delicate. So that's a cover our ass thing.
Correct.
And I always just, no matter how pretty it is, if it's 22 years old, it's going in there as aging, functioning at the time of inspection, but you know, blah, 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 blah. And that's just, that's how you got to do it.
I also put too, the average life expectancy is this.
And here
approximately.
Approximately
this. You know,
and this is where we're at. So do the math. You know, it's a car with 300,000 miles. It may last another 10 and it might not.
But exactly.
I love it, man. I think we're getting close to wrapping up. But I think we could probably go for another 4 or 5 hours. So we'll run it back again. We'll find a good topic to focus on, and we'll hammer it home. But why don't you plug yourself real quick before we drop it?
So my name is Mike Totino. The name of my company is Hyper Focused Home Inspections. I'm also a licensed mold assessor. You could follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook at Hyper Focused Home Inspections. You could reach out to me if you have any questions. Joe, I can't thank you enough.
Dude, Mike, brother. So good to have you on, brother. Thank you so much. All right, till next time, stay knowledgeable.